Hello gems, welcome to this channel. In this video we will be learning how to make this beautiful blouse for a baby girl. It is easy and fast to make. I made this for a 6-month-old, but you can make it in any size you want by modifying the measurements using the instructions in this video. Let's get started. For this tutorial, these are the materials needed. You need yarns. I used 3 colors. You need a 5mm hook. You need a tape measure. You need stitch markers. You need a darning needle. And you need a scissors. This is the granny square that we'll be using to make the blouse. It is called a daisy granny square. You can see how beautiful this looks. I used 3 colors like I stated earlier. You can decide to use whatever color that you want, but you just have to follow this pattern for it to give you that nice look. We'll be needing 8 of these granny squares, and let's just get started with making it. The yarn I'm using is lightweight, so I'm going to be using 2 strands. To start, you are going to do a magic ring this way. Then you chain 3. The chain 3 serves as a double crochet. Then we're going to do 11 more double crochets. I have 12 double crochets now, so I'm going to tighten this hole by pulling this end or tighten it this way. Be careful when tightening it so you don't cut it off. Then you slip stitch into this chain 3 that we made to begin. You slip stitch into it like this. So we are done with the first round. I'm just going to slip stitch into this space again before cutting. Then I'll chain 1 and cut. Pull this up. So this is what we have. We're going to move on to the next color, which is the off-white. So I used baby pink, off-white, and fuchsia pink. You can decide to use whatever color that you prefer. You insert your hook here at this space here. Then you pull out the yarn with your hook. Then you chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You tighten this second yarn that you added. You tighten it like this. Now we're going to be doing a treble crochet. We'll be doing 3 treble crochets together. This chain 4 serves as 1 treble crochet. So I'll continue with the other 2 for this part. I'll yarn over twice, insert my hook, yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, pull through the second time. I'm not going to complete it because we are doing 3 treble crochets together. So I'll yarn over twice again, insert my hook this way, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through all together. This is 3 treble crochets together. We're going to be doing 12 of these sets. Next, I'm going to chain 2 and yarn over twice to continue my 3 treble crochets together. You can decide to work this yarn as you move so that the ends that you have to weave in at the end won't be so much. So I'll be doing just that. Remember, I already yarned over twice before pulling this out. So you yarn over, you pull through once, yarn over, pull through the second time. You're not going to complete this last one. Then yarn over twice again, insert your hook, pull through, yarn over once, yarn over twice. You will not complete it. You do the 3rd treble crochet, yarn over twice, you yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, pull through 2, then you now yarn over and pull through the 3. You can see this is the second set. You continue that way. You chain 2 before you do the next set, then you yarn over twice, insert your hook in the next space. You can see this next space. I'm trying to hide this end as I go. You yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, pull through 2, remaining 2 loops on the hook. You yarn over twice again, and you just keep repeating that same procedure. Now I'm doing the 3rd treble crochet. You can see I'm done with the 3rd set, and I'll chain 2. So I'm just going to continue. When I get to the last set, I'll meet you. I'm done with the 12 sets of 3 treble crochets together. The next thing I'm going to do is to chain 2 like this and slip stitch in this space here, like this. So this is what we have. We're going to slip stitch again into this space, like this. Then we'll chain one and cut the yarn. Then we'll pull this out and tighten it. So you might notice that this hole here is a bit wide, even though you closed it before. So you can still close it again by pulling it like this. Be careful not to pull too much so that it does not cut. So this is what we have. I'm going to be adding the third color now. For the third color, we are just going to be using it to do a normal granny square stitch around. To start, I will insert my hook here where we ended the previous color, and I'll insert my yarn like this. Then I'll chain 3. This chain 3 serves as a double crochet, and I'm going to do 2 more double crochets. Then I'll chain 2 and do 3 double crochets in that same space. I'm hiding this end as I go. Next, I'm going to do 3 double crochets in this next space. And in the next space, I'll do 3 double crochets too. Then in the next space, I'm going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. These 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets serves as a corner. So I'm going to do another corner in this next space. So you're basically doing a corner, then 2 sets of 3 double crochets, then another corner. So I'm going to do the next corner now. So I'll continue that way. I've done the second corner. We are supposed to have 4 corners. So I've done the second corner. The next space I'll do 3 double crochets. The next space I'll do 3 double crochets. Then in the next space I'll do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. So I'm just going to continue that way until I get to this point. So next I'll do 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets, then 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets, then slip stitch here. So I'll just complete that and I'll come back when I'm at this point. I've gotten to this last part here and I'm going to slip stitch to this space. You can slip stitch at the top of the chain 3 we started with, but if you are not finding that so easy, you can just slip stitch into this space here. So slip stitch that way. Then I'm going to slip stitch until I get to this corner again. So I'll do 1, then 2. This is what we have. So this row that we just did was what made that circle to become a square. This is how it looks. Next, we're going to do the next row now, and the next row is just repetition of this last row that we did. So I've gotten to this last space here. I'm going to slip stitch into this stitch, then I'll slip stitch into the next and slip stitch into the next. Then I'm going to chain 1 and cut the yarn and pull this. So this is what we have. It's remaining the last row, and we're going to be using the first color that we started with. In my own case, it is baby pink. We're going to be repeating the same thing we did for these 2 rows. We are just doing that so that the square can be a bit bigger. I'll insert my hook and insert my yarn. I'm going to chain 3. The chain 3 serves as a double crochet. Then I'll pull this yarn I just inserted. I'll pull it this way to tighten it. Next thing I'm going to do is to do 2 more double crochets here. Just basically the same thing we did in the previous row. Then I'm going to chain 2 and do 3 more double crochets. But before then, since I changed the yarn here, I'll just tie it this way. I'll tie it again. Then I'll continue working around. That tying is not compulsory. It's just to secure it more. That's why I did that. I'll chain 2 and continue with 3 double crochets. I've gotten to this point, this last space, and I've done my 3 double crochets. The next thing I'm going to do is the same thing we've been doing before. I'm going to slip stitch into this space here. Then I'll slip stitch into the next space and slip stitch into the last space like this. I'll chain one and cut. I'll pull this out and pull it tight. So this is what we have. We are done with one square. We're going to be needing 8 of these, like I said earlier. Just to explain how to modify the measurements to the size you want. It's a blouse here, so you're going to use the widest parts of the upper parts of the measurements you're using. I mean, if the widest part is the bust or the tummy, you use that circumference measurement. So in this case, I'm using the circumference measurement of the chest of the child, which is about 20 inches. That 20 inches, I'm going to be dividing it by 4, and divided by 4 gives 5 inches. So that means one of my squares should measure 5 inches. So I'm just going to check that. So this even measures almost 5.5. So this is what I have. So I'm going to be making 8 of these squares. It's going to be this way. So it's going to be this way for the front panel. So that means if I measure across, I'm having about 10 inches, almost 10.5 inches, which is good. I have my 8 squares ready now, and we are going to go ahead with joining. For yours, if you're using a bigger measurement and you want to modify your square, you can just make the square bigger by doing more rounds. So the more rounds you do, the more wider and longer your square will be. I'm going to go ahead and start joining the front parts. We'll be joining this way. We'll be joining the squares using single crochet stitch. So I'll just pick these two first. You put the right side facing each other this way, and you start from this corner here. You insert your hook and you insert your yarn like this. You chain one and you do a single crochet in that same space. Then you move to the next stitch and you do a single crochet. Make sure that the stitches are aligning. Each stitch for one square, make sure it is aligning with the other stitch of the second square. So you continue with single crochet. If I should open this, you can see that each cluster of the granny stitch is aligning. Continue your single crochet that way. I've gotten to this last stitch here and I did a single crochet in this hole. I'm going to chain one and cut the yarn. So this is what we have. I'll continue that way. I'll join these two together like this. Once I'm done doing this, then I will join it horizontally so that the upper part can be joined to the lower part. So I've joined this and this is what I have. The next thing we're going to do is to join this way. If you want, you can use your stitch marker to hold this part just so that it stays put and you are sure that you are aligning the stitches together. I would recommend that, especially if you're a beginner. So having said that, the right side will face the right side this way. Then I'll attach my yarn here at this corner here. If you want to attach your yarn, you can attach this way, or you can decide to first do hip knots like this. Anyone works. Then you chain one and you do a single crochet in that same corner. Then you continue by doing single crochets all through the stitches. Make sure that the stitches are aligning and that you are not skipping any one. You can see I'm checking if I'm picking the second one. So I'll just continue that way all the way through. When I get to these corners, I'm going to do one single crochet in them too. So I've joined the four squares together and this is how it looks. I'm going to be repeating the same thing for the other four, which will serve as the back. I'll do the same joining for these four squares. I'll join it off camera and I'll come back when I have both panels all joined. I have both panels ready now, all joined, the front and the back. And the next thing we are going to do now is to determine the width of the neck that we want. For mine, I want about 5 inches at the front and 5 inches at the back, so that will give like 10 inches in total. So if I take my tape measure and measure what I have here, I have about 10 and quarter, almost 10 and half. That means I'm going to be removing about 2 and half from each side. When I remove 2 and half here, 2 and half here, the rest is going to be 5 inches or a little bit more than 5 inches. First, put right side facing each other like this. This is my front, this is my back. Then I'm going to put a stitch marker at that point that I measured. This is what I have, about 10 and half. I'm going to be taking out 2.5 inch here and also take 2.5 inch here, which will be somewhere around here. Just make sure that what you're taking on both sides are equal. I'm going to put my stitch marker here and also put my stitch marker here. We'll go ahead and add one row to the shoulder. If you're doing it for an older child, you can add more than one row. You can add 2 or 3, depending on the size of the child. If you're crocheting it for an adult, you can even add more rows, like 5 or 6. It's just so that the neck can come down a bit instead of staying at the neck region exactly. We've secured the space by putting our stitch marker. The next thing we are going to do is to turn it this way. Then we'll insert the yarn this way and chain 3. The chain 3 serves as a double crochet. The next thing is to do 2 more double crochets in that same space. Then you move on to do 3 double crochets in this space. Then you do 3 double crochets here. Then for this neck part, you can just do 2 double crochets instead of 3. The reason we are doing 2 double crochets is so that it can give us a bit of a straight edge. Doing 3 double crochets will not cause any issues, but then 2 double crochets just makes this part straight instead of curving this way. You know, if we do one more, it will come like this. So we just make it this way. Then you chain 1 and cut off. So this is what we have. You repeat the same for this part, the second panel. You chain 3, then you do 1 more double crochet, then you do 3 double crochets here. So this is what it looks like. This is how it looks now. I'm going to repeat what I did here. I'll repeat the same thing at this end too. I've repeated the same thing for the other side, and this is how it looks. So you see that it gives this shape. You can add one more row if you want, or even multiple rows if you're doing for a bigger size, like I said earlier. The next thing we are going to do is to join the shoulders. We're going to use single crochet to join both shoulders. You insert your hook. Make sure that the stitches are aligning. You chain 1, then you do a single crochet. Go to the next stitch and repeat the same thing. So you continue that way, just the same way we joined the squares. We joined the shoulder with single crochets like that. So I'll complete this and also do this. I've joined both shoulders, so I can remove my stitch markers now. I'm still going to be knitting it though. So this is what it looks like. So you can see it makes the neck come lower a bit. So I'm going to turn this to the wrong side back. The next thing we're going to do now is to separate the armhole before we join the side. And for the armhole of this, I'm just going to be using around here. I think the total circumference of about 7 or 8 is fine. So if the total circumference is 7, that means for one side it should be about 3.5. So we are going to start measuring from the shoulder here. So I need about 3.5 or 4. Okay, 3.5 is here, and I think that might be a bit small, although it's fine, but I want it a bit wider, so I'll go with 4. I'll go with this part here. Because of course the child will grow now, so I'll just put my stitch marker here and also at the other side. Just make sure that what you do on one side is equal with what you're doing on the other side. So this is it. Then I'm going to join the sides with single crochet. I'll insert my hook here at this point where the stitch marker is, and attach my yarn. I'll chain one, then do a single crochet. Then I'll continue doing single crochets for each stitch. Again, make sure that the stitches are aligning. It's important. So I'll continue till I get to this end. When I'm done with that, I'll also join from here downwards to here, and I'll meet you when I'm done. So I've joined both sides. I'm going to remove my stitch marker now and turn to the other side. The next thing we're going to do is to do the ruffles of the sleeve. So to start the ruffle, we're going to insert our hook at this space here, and we're going to be doing granny stitch in each stitch. That is, each stitch is going to have 3 double crochets. So I've chained 3, which serves as 1 double crochet. Then I'm going to do 2 more double crochets. Then in the next stitch, which is here, I'll do 3 double crochets. In the next, I'll do 3 double crochets. The next one will be here, 3 double crochets. So I'll continue that way. You can see the formation of the ruffles already. So I'll continue that way, and I'll meet you when I get to this point. At this point, I'm also going to be doing 3 double crochets. I've gotten to this point here, and in this space, I'm going to do 3 double crochets. After that, I'm going to slip stitch into this first stitch. Then I'm going to be doing 2 double crochets in each stitch. So you continue 2 double crochets in each stitch. You can do 3 double crochets if you want it fuller. I've gotten to the last stitch here, and what I'm going to do is to slip stitch at the beginning of this chain 3. If you are finding it difficult to pass your hook through, you can as well just slip stitch inside the space here. So chain 1, then you cut off the yarn and you pull through. So this is how it looks. See how cute this is. I'm going to repeat the same thing I did here to this other armhole, and when I'm done, I'll show you the final results. I've completed the other sleeve, and this is how it looks. See how cute it is. The next thing I would like to do is to add single crochets around the neck. Although this is not compulsory, it just makes it more defined. I'm going to go ahead and add single crochets around. And just keep putting 1 single crochet in each stitch. For the corners, I did not put 2, I just put 1 in each corner. So you continue that way all the way around. I've gotten to where I started from. I'm just going to slip stitch into that first single crochet. I'll chain 1 and cut. So this is how it looks. We are done with our blouse. The last but not the least thing that we have to do is to weave in the ends. So we're going to turn the blouse over this way to the wrong side. All of these ends, we're going to be weaving them in. For some that we already weaved in while crocheting, we can, like something like this. See, this is weaved in already, so we can just cut it off, or we can decide to even weave it in more just to hide it. You take your darning needle and you just insert it this way. Then you just keep going round until you hide the yarn completely. The tail is not that long. That's why it's not as easy. As when I try pulling this off now, it will come off the needle. So you see. Another thing we can do, if you have a smaller hook, maybe like a 2 mm or 2.5, okay, I have a 2.5 mm hook here. So I'll just use it to make it in this way. Personally, I prefer this method instead of using the darning needles. But sometimes you have to use the darning needle. So I'll just tighten this off here. Then I can just even tighten this one more time like this, just to secure it more. Then I'll cut it off this way. Some people go ahead to burn these parts, but I don't. I just leave it that way. So you just repeat the same thing basically until everything is done. I'm done weaving in the ends, and this is how it looks at the wrong side. So I'm just going to turn it to the right side. This is how it looks on the right side. And we are done with our blouse. Look at how cute this blouse looks. So beautiful. So you can make this for your baby girl. She will look so cute in it. I also made this matching hairband for it. I will also drop the tutorial for this hairband on my channel, so please do well to check it out. Thank you so much for joining in this tutorial. I hope to see you in others. Bye for now.